game set, I would probably take Josh. With being 3 out of 5, I like Kyle's chances.
Well, these players will be given the green light. We are underway here in our other half of the quarterfinals. This Wooded Foothills will be sacrificed. We'll see what Ravitz does want to search up for his first land and what his first action will be. It's going to be a Blood Crypt to start things off.
All Jund lists have a couple fun ups for Spice. Josh with the main deck Outpost Siege this weekend.
That's a Spicer. We saw Reduke with a Chandra Pyromaster earlier.
Very similar cards.
Yeah. Here's an Inquisition of Kozilek. The discard train has begun. A Remand, a Snapcaster Mage, a Deceiver Exarch, and a Pestermite. Along with a couple of lands here for Boggemes and Steam Vents, Sulphur Falls, and Polluted Delta.
No combo looming yet. Kyle has one of the two pieces. He has the appropriate creature. No Splinter Twin. I think this is probably Snapcaster Mage, unless Josh is really trying to push something through that Remand. If he has Lightning Bolt in hand, then there's an argument for Deceiver Exarch as an answer to Pestermite.
See Josh write down the contents of the hand. You can also see his hand with the Tarmogoyf and a Maelstrom Pulse over there.
If Josh has a really explosive hand, then it's probably Remand. If his hand's a little bit on the slower side, it's probably Snapcaster Mage.
He's going to take the Snapcaster Mage, pass the turn back over to Boggemes. Steam Vents tapped in a passing of the turn. Twilight Mire here for Ravitz into Dark Confidant.
Snapcaster Mage with the discard spells is very similar to Den Protector in Standard. Unless you're doing something very specific, you're usually going to take Snapcaster Mage out of most hands.
Boggemes will sacrifice Polluted Delta. We'll see what land he wants to search up here. We'll go with just the basic Swamp. Let's see what the follow-up's going to be. A Terminate. Timely.
Very nice draw. And Ravitz definitely getting paid off for taking Snapcaster Mage out of the hand initially.
Oh, absolutely. Ravitz would pick up another copy of Dark Confidant here. There's a Verdant Catacombs. There's Dark Confidant and a passing of the turn. So we head back Boggemes' way. Picked up another copy of Remand. 2 of those in hand now.
So Remand much more powerful when Kyle's ahead here than when he's behind. And Ravitz knowing about Remand, he gets to control all the way that Kyle gets to use it. He's never going to let Kyle swallow up his whole turn.
Kyle going to do a little bit of math here on how he wants to move forward for these next couple of turns. I'll start by playing Scalding Tarn. I'll pass the turn back over to Ravitz. Ravitz will sacrifice Verdant Catacombs. For Josh, you do get to pick up a little bit of information there. With Kyle playing the Scalding Tarn, he had a Sulphur Falls in hand when the discard spell was cast in the first turn of the game. And so Josh should know most of the contents, if not all of them, in Kyle's hand. The only mystery card right now is a copy of Remand.
Yep. Terminate's been drawn and cast.
Yep. Deceiver Exarch, Pestermite, and Sulphur Falls still in hand, along with the Remand that's known about. Josh searching up a stomping ground there. Ravitz will reveal Scavenging Ooze to Dark Confidant. He'll take 2 from that. Go down to 14. He'll draw a card for the turn. Let's copy of Liliana the Veil. And now you kind of play a little bit of a game on, do I want to attack with my Dark Confidant? And if I do, are you going to play your Deceiver Exarch?
Well, the awkward thing here is now Ravitz just has to kind of punch his way through the Remands here. Normally, just tapping out for your whole turn into the face of Remand's not a great play. Josh doesn't really have a choice because he doesn't have a 4th land drop, so he can't try to play 2 spells in the same turn. Also, if Kyle casts the Remand here, then it opens up Josh to attack, which he currently can't because he knows about the Deceiver Exarch, which could jump in front of the Dark Confidant.
Steam Vents is going to be searched and enter the battlefield tapped. You know, for what it's worth, on that turn, Ravitz could play Lilianaville tap out, and Boggemes could just say, okay, kill you.
For sure. Josh knows that that's the case, but the alternative there is just saying go and bluffing Terminate or Abrupt Decay or some such. And I think that Josh needs to start attacking with the Dark Confidant if he can. He needs to push through these remands because his hand's kind of bottlenecked anyway. So there's a risk of him dying, but the way to avoid that is bluffing a removal spell. That's Josh's entire turn while he's stalled on lands. I don't think that's a tenable situation.
Remand takes care of Lilianaville for now. Dark Confidant will come across for a couple points of damage. We'll keep moving and grooving here. Boggemes does have a Blood Crypt in hand now. See if he wants to play that Sulfur Falls that Ravitz does know about.
The land drops in Modern are very tricky. I would say even trickier than they are in Legacy.
I actually think I agree with you.
My experience playing the format has been because the dual lands deal damage to you and there's some non-basic hate, like Blood Moon, it's very hard.
Dark Confidant trigger. Reveal Lightning Bolt. Ravitz will go down to 13. Still has that Liliana in hand. Try to cast it again. You might see Kyle play a Deceiver Exarch, untap his own land, and now remand, giving himself a shot to find Splinter Twin. Ravitz just has to pass the turn back. The window is open.
This could be a kill.
Pretty clear Kyle doesn't have it at this point. He would have done it by now if he did. And doesn't have to worry about a card like Slaughter Pact.
Yeah, nothing like that in Josh's deck.
So we play on. There's an island. Attack with Deceiver Exarch to begin. Ravitz going to go down to 12. Here's a Pestermite. Now there's Kolaghan's Command. Take care of Dark Confidant, rebuy Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah. This is a pretty nice shifting of the gears here. Kyle now going on the offensive here. He's kind of got the card advantage ahead in the card advantage battle. He'll have access to Snapcaster Remand next turn while Josh is stalled on lands. And the whole time he's threatening to kill out of nowhere if he draws Splinter Twin.
This is what makes Twin such a powerful deck.
More than any other deck in Modern, missing land drops against Twin is a death sentence because they play so efficiently once they get ahead of you on mana. And you feel compelled to leave mana up for your removal spell or whatever you have to prevent the combo at all times. So you need to be able to play things to the board to pressure them and leave up mana, and it's very hard to do when you're missing your land drops.
Black Cleave Cliffs. There's a land here for Ravitz. I'm sure he would have loved for that one to enter the battlefield untapped. Could Lightning Bolt the Pestermite, play Liliana, take it down, take care of the Deceiver Exarch, and move on accordingly. But doesn't have that play available to him now.
And just playing Liliana is not that attractive otherwise.
Yeah.
Since Kyle gets to kill it and then has Snapcaster Mage the next turn with a bunch of mana available.
You might just have to look at Liliana as kind of just a glorified removal spell, honestly. I mean, it's not the prettiest thing, but he might just have to play it and tick it down.
Well, the problem is that that's doing the same thing the Lightning Bolt could do. I think Josh is probably better served doing something like playing Tarmogoyf and bolting the Pestermite. It accomplishes much the same thing, but it does get something into play, which is important.
Scavenging looks like it might be under consideration too.
Well, with Kyle having the Terminate back in his hand, the Snapcaster Mage rather, an argument for just oozing it away.
Yeah.
But there's so many quality things for Kyle to Snapcaster back that this is probably the easier play.
Here's a 4/5 Tarmogoyf. The Lightning Bolt takes care of the Pestermite. Pass that turn back over to Boggemes. Boggemes will take a draw. No Splinter Twin yet again. Being on the opposing side of Twin is always just so scary because the entire time you're just thinking, all right, am I dead?
Yep. Every time you tap out, even sometimes when you're just tapping low. Appears for now that Josh is safe.
Snapcaster Mage here in Boggemes' hand. We know about that. Still has that Blood Crypt too. Now he's got some thinking to do.
Yeah, there is the open question of whether he's better served being proactive here, just Snapcaster Maging back the Terminate, killing the Tarmogoyf and attacking, or if he should be holding up the Snapcaster Mage for additional flexibility.
Just going to cast Terminate now and get in for a point of damage.
If he's drawn Terminate and he has an untapped land, he gets the best of both worlds because he gets to hold up Snapcaster Mage with 2 other mana available. That allows him to cast Remand or Terminate out of the graveyard as appropriate.
Boggemes 2 cards left in hand. One of them is a Snapcaster Mage. As we head back Ravitz's way, he picks up another copy of Black Lake Cliffs. So the lands are coming, but they have to enter the battlefield tapped, unfortunately, for Josh. See if maybe he wants to try to go for Liliana again or something else.
I really like leading with the Scavenging Ooze here because this forces Kyle's hand probably on Snapcaster Mage plus a removal spell.
He's going to play Snapcaster Mage and then target Terminate. Another play I like quite a bit. Pass the turn back, and now he's going to flash back Terminate. That's something the Ooze can't remove. Well, Josh does have the ability now to remove at least 1 card. So let's see if he wants to go with a creature or a spell. We'll go with a creature and press and gain a life up to 12. And back to Boggemes we go. Am I dead? Doesn't look like it. In for 3. Ravitz down to 9. Boggemes will play a Scalding Tarn, pass the turn back. Only 1 card left in hand here for Kyle. Josh picks up a copy of Thoughtseize. Might be a good way to clear the path.
Yeah, certainly if there's Cryptic Command or something else hanging out there, you'd want to get it out.
Just a Watery Grave over there. Nothing too exciting. Now here's Olivia Voldaren. That one can take over the game.
Also sets up Josh next turn to shoot the Snapcaster Mage with Olivia, play Liliana the Veil, get rid of the Deceiver Exarch, and then he's in a pretty comfortable spot. He still could just die this turn. Splinter Twin still kills him. But if he gets out of this turn okay, he gets into a really good position.
Definitely some good draws here available for Kyle Boggemes. We'll see if he can find the best one in Splinter Twin. Take a draw. Does not look to be there. Really felt like Kyle had decent control of this game. It's being taken away now by Josh.
Well, it's the old Flood versus Screw dilemma.
Yeah.
Josh was bottlenecked on mana for a while. The Remands were really punishing. But his hand's obviously all spells. Kyle got out to an early advantage, but hasn't really been able to capitalize because he hasn't found enough action. And, typically favors the game, favors the person who was stalled on lands, assuming the person who was ahead doesn't win the game very quickly.
Looks like Kyle's getting an Oracle text for a card.
Yeah, if you get a good look over there, you can see Josh has a healthy love for foreign cards, and Olivia's a little tricky.
In comes the Deceiver Exarch. A 1/4 into a 3/3. You would think, what an easy block, but feels like maybe Kyle has a Kolaghan's Command in hand now. Josh will make that block. There's Watergrave enters the battlefield. Tap, pass the turn back. Ravitz looking to take control. He'll draw a card.
Kolaghan's Command would have been really bad news there, but only 2 in the deck, plus Snapcaster Mages. And if it's Lightning Bolt, it's not Lightning Bolt there, because Kyle would have just Lightning Bolted the Olivia and moved on.
Yep. Here's Liliana.
More importantly, it's free for Kyle to make that attack. So Josh knows a good percent of the time he's just bluffing, and the 1 point of damage definitely matters with Josh on 7.
Olivia shoots Snapcaster Mage. Liliana's going to tick down and take care of Deceiver Exarch. And now Olivia will come in. Kyle's going to go down to 9. We don't know what that card in his hand. I'll take a draw now. He's in some serious trouble now.
Yep. I believe he's picked up a Lightning Bolt.
Not terribly helpful. There's Polluted Delta, pass the turn back. Ravitz will untap in a pretty commanding position. So he draws a copy of Thoughtseize. Liliana's going up. Lightning Bolt's going to go after Liliana. The Planeswalker's down. Josh still needs to discard a card.
And this is response, so Josh can discard knowing that the Liliana's dead. He's not locked in up front.
Another Liliana in hand for Ravitz on with a Maelstrom Pulse. See how he wants to tap for Scavenging Ooze.
Because it's also tapping for Olivia potentially as well. So.
And for Josh, you just want to make this a 2-turn clock. And I like to shoot my own Scavenging Ooze play to put a counter on and make it a 2-turn clock. You're just going to attack for 5 in the air. It'll be 2 turns no matter what now.
Yep.
All while leaving green mana available.
Snapcaster Mage, Kolaghan's commands. Kyle's got a variety of things to interact with the graveyard. And with only one draw step, it's going to be really hard.
Well, there are some good draws available here for Kyle, Cryptic Command being one of them.
Yep. No matter how dire it looks, Cryptic Command often still plays.
Yep. Only has one in the deck, though. See if he can find one right now.
I mean, you could still even just Cryptic into Exarch into win the game. That's still possible, but it looks like no such luck for Kyle.
He did not. Josh Ravitz able to win game number 1 here over Kyle Boggemes. Jund up a game over Grixis Twin, and now this is where the real fun begins. You see Kyle's sideboard, and he shuffles in all 15 immediately because he's going to have to leave Josh guessing. He's got an Engineered Explosives, 2 Spell Skies, 2 Soul of Temptation, 2 Blood Moons, a Dismember, 2 Dispels, a Kolaghan's Command, a Spell Snare, a Vendilion Click, and 2 copies of Pyroclasm. What's interesting here, I think, for both you and me in this situation is normally we have a pretty good idea of what a player's going to do given matchups, but there's a real guessing game at work.
I got a little taste of it because we got to watch Kyle on camera play this matchup. The Blood Moons were in, the Soul of Temptations were in, the Spell Skites were in, and some part of the combo was still in the deck. So he's going to be bringing in the anti-Jund measures. Spell Skites pretty good against their various removals. Soul of Temptations pretty powerful, and it's outside of Abrupt Decay range. The Blood Moons could trip up Josh sometimes. Possibly the other removal spells come in as well. You might see another Dismember, another Kolaghan's Command, and so forth. But when we watched Kyle before earlier in this tournament, some parts of the combo were still available against Jund. I would expect to see the same thing here.
On Josh's side, he's got 4 Fulminator Mages, a Grim Lavamancer, 2 Hunt Master of the Fells, 2 Kitchen Finks, an additional copy of Outpost Siege, an Abrupt Decay, and Olivia Valderin, a Duress, and 2 copies of Shatterstorm. I think the easiest place to start is Abrupt Decay.
Abrupt Decay, I think, likely comes in. I think the copy of Duress will come in here as well. And then beyond that, I'm not really too excited about any of this stuff. It's possible if he thinks that Kyle has gone into a pretty extreme controlling road, then maybe the second copy of Outpost Siege can come in. The Grim Lavamancer is fine to bring in kind of no matter what, can come in or not. But I think it's going to be relatively light sideboarding for Josh.
Quick update for you guys on our backup match between the Amulet Bloom players. Chris Van Meter is currently up a game over Tarek Patel. So we'll see if Tarek can tie things up. Van Meter, number 3 overall seed. He was on the play for that game. Patel, number 6. As we will talk about SCG game night now. 3 months in front of us. Right now it is June. This year's almost over, basically. But the bunny is available. And some other cool stuff coming in July and August.
Exactly. This is the kit for June. Obviously too late to get signed up for this. We send a new kit with new pins and tokens every single month. Stores can get signed up through StarCityGames.com/game night or by contacting their Star City Games organized play representative. A lot of flexibility to run this any day of the week, anytime, any format. Just get some players in your store for some fun and friendly magic. The July kit is the Piglet. Too late to get signed up for this, but if you want to get signed up for the August kit, the Monkey, head over to StarCityGames.com/game night. Find the game night closest to you, or contact your Star City Games organized play representative if you are a store owner looking to bring this program to your store.
Monkey Month.
Monkey Month.
Just stealing bananas.
Yep. Just stole it off some tree or for some other creature that was hoarding the bananas, and now delighted to have so many bananas.
Kyle Boggemes will be on the play here for game number 2 against Josh Ravitz, and we'll see how he does sideboard. It's going to be a lot of fun taking a look in his opening hands, and maybe we get a little bit of a glimpse of his deck when he's searching with a fetch line to see, hey, does he have Blood Moon in his deck? Does he have Splinter Twins or not? Again, you mentioned when he played against Kevin Gerhardt earlier, he killed him with Splinter Twin game number 3, which is a little bit unexpected. He also had Blood Moon for that game too. That doesn't mean he'll have it in this matchup or any of these games.
Josh with the pretty standard 1 Forest, 2 Swamp package, that allows him to cast whatever, even if he's locked under Blood Moon. Liliana the Veil, for example, still castable.
See, Boggemes maybe running some things through his head on how he wants to sideboard, how he wants to play this game. There was some real back and forth in that game. Ravitz with some mana issues. I thought, that would probably doom him in the timely peel of Terminate to take care of Dark Confident, but he was able to work his way through it and then close it out pretty quick.
Kyle felt, about 1 good spell short of winning that game. And I'm not even just talking about Splinter Twin. Even something like Tassiger, something to really cement his early advantage, I think would have been good enough, but he was just light on action by the time Josh started drawing his mana and pulling out of it.
It just came a little short.
2 remands against someone who's missing land drops, usually that's a winning recipe, but Kyle was a bit short on action.
And the Kolaghan's command was good too.
Very powerful Kolaghan's command.
Maybe a little bit of a surprising result, but Ravitz able to fight through it. A little bit of mana flood there from Boggemes. That's why he's up a game. And for Ravitz, this is a tough tournament for Josh, truthfully. He's into the top 8 here, but to be able to win this tournament would really be something. Next round, no matter what happens, he'd have to play against Amulet Bloom, and that is a very good matchup for Amulet Bloom.
To Josh's credit, he does have 4 copies of Fulminator Mage. He's trying to be good in that matchup. If he happens to get to the finals and run into Tron, he's got a little bit of game there.
Yeah.
Those matchups are typically very challenging for Jund, but I agree with you. Amulet is bad news for Josh, no matter what. For Kyle, on the other hand, Kyle's pretty stoked.
He is thrilled.
It's a very good bracket for Kyle if he can get through this match.
So the players who are playing in our other match in the Amulet Bloom Mirror, they are rooting for Josh Ravitz right now. Kyle's going to keep his 7. Ravitz looks a little unsure. Looks like he will keep her underway here. An Inquisition of Kozilek, Polluted Delta will find a basic swamp. You see Kyle search for a basic swamp. That's notable.
Yep. Implies the Blood Moons are in.
Ravitz with a Thought Seize, 2 Tarmogoyfs, a Scavenging Ooze, an Inquisition of Kozilek, a Verdant Catacombs, and a very beautiful Guru's Swamp.
Pretty hard hand here to Inquisition. The discard's redundant, the Tarmogoyfs are redundant. And the ooze might not even be very good, so.
See, Kyle's going to record the contents of the grip. Probably consult his hand before making a selection with the discard spell. One thing that is notable here, Ravitz basics won't be a problem. Has the basic swamp, and then you can search for the basic forest with the Verdant Catacomb if you'd like.
Mm-hmm. Has no requirements for red mana right now in this hand either,
yeah.
So.
But again, that's if Kyle does have Blood Moon in his deck. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. He's going to go with Tarmogoyf as a selection. Ravitz draws a copy of Abrupt Decay. Josh will start with a swamp and a discard spell. It's going to be Inquisition of Kozilek. You see Kyle's hand. Splinter Twin is still in the deck. There's an Island of Sulphur Falls, along with a Scalding Tarn. It looks like a Sower of Temptation as well. So it looks like Inquisition is missing here.
And Sower of Temptation is pretty bad news for Josh, as he cannot currently remove it. He may have to take it with his Thoughtseize on the follow-up, but then Splinter Twins in Kyle's hand, and that could be bad news down the line.
Now, one thing that Kyle doesn't know is about the Abrupt Decay in Josh's hand, as he did peel it after the discard spell.
It's pretty much the ideal mystery draw,
yeah.
Because Kyle might get to a spot where he has the combo, Josh has had, 3 draws that he doesn't know about, and he may feel like the odds are good enough to go for it.
Sulphur Falls, one of the battlefield tap. It does not have an island or a mountain with it. And now here is Tarmogoyf. We'll see what land Josh wants to search up here with the Verdant Catacombs. It's going to be basic forest very, very quickly here for Ravitz. Pass the turn back over to Boggemes. Tarmogoyf currently sitting at a 3-4. The Tarn here for Kyle. So both players able to knock some cards off their checklists from their discard spells. Ravitz knows that Boggemes has an Island of Solar Temptation and a Splinter Twin left in hand. Didn't know about that Terminate. That'll take care of the Tarmogoyf. For Ravitz, as he picks up a copy of Liliana the Veil, doesn't look like he's drawn a third land just yet.
If he does appear that he's drawn Bloodstained Mire. Liliana the Veil is a great draw here.
Yeah.
Because Josh doesn't really want to cast a creature into the face of the Solar Temptation, nor is it great spending his turn Thought Seizing. So Liliana is a proactive play, while Kyle's hand is very reactive. Can whittle down Kyle's resources, maybe pair it with the Thought Seize next turn, and prevent Kyle from building up a reactive hand.
I was going to search up a Blood Crypt. And here comes the powerful Planeswalker. It's time to start shredding the hands here. Ravitz ready to discard. He'll discard Scavenging Ooze. Kyle going to discard Splinter Twin, so he's decided, well, time to move on from that.
Well, in the face of Liliana the Veil, it's hard for him to hold up all the resources necessary to get to Splinter Twin. So, for the time being, at least, Kyle's got to bail on that.
Ravitz still with the Thought Seize and Abrupt Decay in hand. Kyle still has an Island and a Solar Temptation over there. Some of the cards are a mystery, but those are known resources for both players. We'll see if Boggemes can work his way through Liliana. On this board, it's a really good time for it.
And Josh just plays a much better empty-handed game than Kyle does.
Absolutely.
He needs fewer resources to operate. Kyle has way more counter spells and that kind of stuff in the deck.
Kyle going to play the Island. Here's the Sower. Pass the turn back. Nothing to take with the Sower, but it puts a little pressure on Liliana.
Yep.
So the rest of Kyle's hand? Well, that's a mystery. For Ravitz, we still know about that Decay and that Thought Seize. And here is a Thought Seize, so we'll open up Kyle's hand a little bit. Ravitz will take a little bit from the discard spell. Looks like another Splinter Twin.
Just
a
a
land
land.
of Sulfur Falls. Bye-bye Sulfur Falls, maybe. Nope, it'll be the creature for now. Kyle will untap and take a draw.
I think Josh would rather sit on the 2 removal spells in hand than use one on the 2/2 flyer for 4 with no other text and discard the other one to Liliana.
There's Sulfur Falls. Here is Kolaghan's command. Get back the Solar Temptation. Take care of your Liliana. Good draw.
Solid turn. I mean, that was the draw Seppi was really looking for there.
Dark Confidant the draw. Josh will play it past the turn back. There comes the Sower. And now, oh boy, that's a big draw.
Back-to-back, very solid draws here for Kyle.
Absolutely. Tasker right off the top of the deck. Can't decay a lot of these cards here for Josh.
It's part of the reason it's Sower instead of something like Threads of Disloyalty.
Yep. Well, Terminate is timely. That'll take care of the Sower. Stomping Ground on the battlefield tapped. And Abrupt Decay is the last card available. Now Tasker can go to work.
And just look at Josh's life total, too. And
Yep.
he's got Dark Confidant in play. Kyle has really swung this game around by drawing Tasker. He can keep up on card advantage, and Josh is definitely behind in terms of the damage race.
Let's see what Dark Confidant reveals. It's a Swamp. Bloodstained Mire, the draw, it appears. In comes Dark Confidant. There's, jeez, Deceiver Exarch. Boy, Kyle is making this ugly here.
Back to back to back.
Yeah. There's how about I just block with everybody? Just get in there. Dark Confidant's out of here. There's a Bloodstained Mire past the turn back. Kyle's going to come across for 6 points of damage. Abrupt Decay will take care of that. Make it 4. Excuse me, would have been attacked for 5. Would have. Either way, Ravitz is down to 6. Ravitz only has a Swamp in hand.
This is one of the reasons that Abrupt Decay is among my favorite powerful cards that's been printed in the last couple of years. Definitely, people seek out specific cards for specific roles because the card exists. So, 4 mana cost, the Delve creatures that show up all over the place now, Tassiger, Gurmag Gangler, Hooting Mandrills.
Kyle going to play Snapcaster Mage. Another good draw. Kolaghan's command's going to get back Solar Temptation.
Back to back to back to back.
Yes, yes. terminate the draw here. Here's an attack, and that is going to do it. Kyle Boggemes is going to win this game here over Josh Ravitz. Grixis Twin and Junder are going to play a third one. They're all evened up.
But that's the difference between game 1 and game 2 and why this matchup is so interesting. In game 1, when Josh gets those kind of draws, he just grinds Kyle into the dirt, and there's no real recourse. Kyle has to get his combo in play realistically to win, and Josh is so good at fending him off with discard spells and removal spells. That game, much the same thing was happening. Kyle had Splinter Twins in hand. They had to get discarded. It looked like he was getting run over, but then Sower of Temptation, Tassiger, these creatures that are outside of Abrupt Decay range and just come with a lot of individual power with them, they were able to flip that game where it looked like Josh had gotten himself into a commanding position.
Kyle shuffles all 15. He'll be boarding 15 out yet again. We'll see if the Twins, the Blood Moons, all that stuff, if they stay or if they go. But for right now, we will talk about the Spring Creature Collection here with Star City Games. We've got sleeves, playmats, and dice bags of some of our more fun items.
Yeah, we have the April, May, and June kits there, the bunny, the bee, and the kittens, and Delver of Squeakrits, all available on card sleeves, playmats, and dice bags. StarCityGames.com/creature collection to order your items today.
Delver of Squeakrits.
I've gotten smooth with it now. It took a little bit.
Yeah, me too. I know that's a fan favorite. I'm still very heel on the bee.
Sure.
Yeah, never gonna. It's unforgivable.
It's a personal thing, man. You're not gonna like every part of the animal kingdom. It's okay.
This is a lot of fun to watch here because a lot of the time with sideboarding, and I am certainly a victim of this. Yeah, I just take my 5 cards, put them in, take them out. Okay, I'm moving out with life. I don't have time for this bluffing and shuffling everything in. For Kyle, and it's correct to shuffle all 15 and always, but people are lazy. For Kyle, it's actually necessary.
Oh, definitely. He's got to keep Josh off balance. Most of my sideboards are, like Shatter, and you take some damage, blow up a land, and you take some damage, kill your creature, and you take some damage, and, do something to your graveyard and hopefully deal damage. So there's not a lot of bluffing to be had, Smash to Smithereens, Molten Rain, Searing Blood. And Sudden Impact, something that's good whatever's good against card drawing, I guess.
Yeah, you're a straightforward guy.
Hand size.
Yeah.
Kyle here's got a lot of different roads he can take with how he wants his deck set up. But we know he's left in some of the combo. He drew 2 copies of Splinter Twin last game, I believe. That's about how much I would predict would still be in his deck post-board. But Josh cannot be certain. It's possible Kyle's still on the full amount.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee he's removed any of it from his deck.
I'll tell you what, it's not going to matter his sideboards if he draws like that in the mid-game where both players are top decking.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And that's what's so nice about being able to sideboard that way is Josh is really well suited to deal with the combo. Kyle can leave it in and Josh has to respect it. And then Kyle can go about his business winning the game with other cards like, Kolaghan's Command, Snapcaster Mage, Tassiger, Sower of Temptations, Cryptic Command. That's a pretty good base for just playing a Grixis control game if he's feeling so inclined.
Absolutely. And really that last game was some of the power of the Grixis deck, just why this color combination works. You got Tasker, Kolaghan's Command's great, Snapcaster Mage is great. And this was, as you take a look at the 7-1 results and better for this Invitational, you're going to find a lot of Grixis control decks in a lot of different varieties. You've got the Splinter Twin version, you've got the Control version, and you've got the Delver version.
Yep.
And they all have those cards in common. You'll find Snapcaster, Kolaghan's Command, and Tasker in there. Can't forget about Lightning Bolt as well.
And all those cards, Sower of Temptation, Kolaghan's Command, Tassiger, they're also conducive to big comebacks. Kyle can get behind in this game on card count, on board presence, and just like you saw in the second game, can swing it around with a couple good draws.
Game number 3 going to be underway here in just a moment. Of course, our other match, Chris Van Meter versus Tarek Patel. That's the Amulet Bloom Mirror. Van Meter is currently up a game there. And those players are rooting for Josh Ravitz here. They do not want to play against a twin deck. Talking to Chris yesterday, because he had an impressive run through the modern portion of the tournament. He said, well, I didn't get paired against a twin once, so that's good.
Yeah, Tarek too. They were a combined 15-1 through modern.
Yep.
An 8-0 and a 7-1.
Very impressive.
Yeah. A great performance for Amulet Bloom.
For those of you getting ready for Grand Prix Charlotte, and we know that's many of you, Amulet Bloom is the real deal.
It's tough sometimes with the Invitationals because the top 8 is whatever format it is, but the 16 rounds of the Swiss are split format, and so sometimes you have people who make the top 8 and the top 8 standard, but maybe they only went 5-3 in the standard portion of the tournament, and they had a very good run in Legacy. That happens all the time.
Jacob Wilson at the Season 1 Invitational.
Exactly, great example. So that does happen from time to time. I think a lot of people assume, oh, it's the top 8 decks. All these decks did well. In split format tournaments, that's not necessarily the case. But in this tournament, the Amulet Bloom decks are definitely deserving of their top 8 slots.
Yeah.
By 15-1 is no joke.
I expect to see a healthy amount of that deck in Charlotte next weekend.
And in fact, I think Chris's only loss in Modern came in the mirror.
It was a Tark.
Yeah. So 15-1, only losing to the other one.
Yeah.
We can call that, we can call that 14-0, basically.
Yeah. Deck does not mess around. And the people who are supporters of Amulet Bloom, and Sam Black is jumping to mind, they are loud supporters of that deck.
Well, it's got very clearly defined strengths and weaknesses, but if you sat down and wrote a list of the strengths and the weaknesses, the list of strengths in terms of matchups way longer than the list of weaknesses. The problem is the twin matchup's not very good, and a lot of people play Splinter Twin.
Yeah.
But if you can avoid that matchup, the deck's great.
Or just nut draw them.
Yeah, and your best draws still beat twin.
Yeah.
It's just your normal draws probably don't.
Ravitz will take a look here. His opening hand with his Jund deck. He says, okay, I'll keep. Kyle, he's going to think it through.
Pretty disheartening game 2 if you're Josh there. Gotta feel like you were very close to being up 2-0.
That's it. That's how I imagine how Kyle felt after game 1.
Probably, yeah.
I can draw Splinter Twin to win at any point. I missed for a couple of turns. Now I'm drawing a bunch of lands. Josh is getting back into it. Now I can't win.
If I draw twin, I win on the spot. And even if I just draw reasonable spells, I'm probably going to win the game.
Tassiger.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Snapcaster Mage.
Yep. It's the ebb and flow of a game of Magic as Kyle's going to take a mulligan. He'll be headed down to 6 cards. Grixis. Patrick Chapin must be thrilled.
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
His favorite color combination. He's going to be in Charlotte too, so.
And this is a pretty, as far as mana bases go, the top 8s, it's kind of a freebie to be playing 3 colors. There's not a lot of decks here that are punishing your life total. No copies of Bird, no copies of Affinity. Pretty good top 8 to be a 3-color deck instead of a 2-color deck.
It'll surprise you too. 2 Affinity decks went 7-1 yesterday.
Very good run. I mean, that's a deck that we assumed when we went on the air before the round started that Kolaghan's command kind of kicked that deck out of the room.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of anecdotal evidence to suggest that too. If you talk to a lot of players who have played Affinity in the past, they bring up that card as a reason that they've shelved the deck for a while. But 2 decks going 7-1 that's a legit performance too.
It's not over for that deck. It just got a lot harder. It always seems to get harder. It certainly doesn't ever get easier for Affinity.
It's very rare that they print an artifact that's good enough to go in the deck. The bar is pretty high at this point.
Yeah.
Now, that is a funny thing to say about a deck that plays with Ornithopter and Memnite and things like that, but the bar is pretty high. There's only so many cheap artifact creatures to go around, and Cranial Plating and Arcbound Ravager aren't walking through that door anytime in the near future.
At least we don't think so.
It's hard for new content to come in and affect that deck. But they do print some really good Shatters, and really good Pyroclasms, and so forth, in just about every block.
Raging Ravine is how Ravitz will start things off. Boggemes happy enough with his 6 cards as we are underway here in game number 3. Watergrave will enter the battlefield untapped. Now Serum Visions will be cast. So Boggemes down to 18. He'll draw a card and then scry 2. The poor man's preordained.
The law-abiding man's preordained.
Looks like those 2 are going to stay on top. Kyle's happy. We'll go back Ravitz's way, see what his second turn yields. Overgrown Tomb is the draw.
I believe Sam Stoddard recently wrote a development article saying, we're not doing this kind of stuff anymore.
We're done with these cantrips?
Even Serum Visions.
If Serum Visions got banned, it would be really something.
I don't think it's going to get banned. I think they're happy with this being, we want to have a little bit of the spiky blue stuff going on, and we're okay with this being the rate you get to do it at. Gitaxian Probe also pretty powerful and functions that way, but they do a lot to simply make the games play out the same way over and over again. So there's no real value to be gained. And all of them are busted. Every single one that gets printed is busted.
Swamp off of the Bloodstained Mire. Now here's a Dark Confidant. I'm going to put Kyle to the test right away to see if he has a removal spell. In game 1, he didn't, but he peeled a Terminate to take care of Dark Confidant. We'll see if he's got the removal spell for this one. Does have a Sulfur Falls in hand, so red mana is not going to be an issue.
And don't underestimate Grixis Twins' ability to pressure the life total, too. I mean, it is... obviously, Kyle would like to kill the Confidant on the second turn, but if Josh takes a lot of damage, it's not like this game can just go on indefinitely with Josh keeping a Dark Confidant in play if his clock is slow.
Terminate is the reveal off of Dark Confidant. Thoughtseize the draw. Spellskite was the play for Boggemes last turn, so maybe that's indicative of him still having the combo in the deck and looking for a little bit of protection.
Also good in conjunction with Solar of Temptation.
Yeah.
That interaction came up in a match that we watched too.
Liliana of the Veil making Kyle sacrifice the Spellskite. And Dark Confidant will come across in the red zone. 17-16 in favor of Ravitz right now. Liliana gonna put some real pressure on Kyle. We saw him work around it in the last game.
Instant speed removal in hand. Liliana of the Veil to really leverage the fact that he's drawing 2 cards a turn against Kyle's 1. And if Kyle doesn't have a removal spell... Now, we actually saw kind of the same thing happen last game, and Kyle was able to flip the script there with a couple timely draws. Kolaghan's Command, for example, excellent in the spot.
Scalding Tarn is the land. Dismember is the play. Kyle will have to pay 2 life to cast it. He'll pass the turn back. Chris Van Meter, for those of you wondering at home, is won game number 2 against Tar Patel. 1 more to go for CVM to move on to the semifinals. Here's a Thoughtseize. 2 Snapcaster Mages, a Kolaghan's Command, and a Mountain, the grip here for Kyle. That's a real good one.
One that can, weather the storm a little bit of these discard spells. Couple sources of card advantage in there, but this feels kind of like a repeat of game 2 so far. Josh has built an early advantage. It's not a lock by any means. Kyle has some very good draw steps. But the fact that Josh is sitting on a Terminate means that something like Sower of Temptation, Tassiger, it's not a guarantee to catch Kyle up. And that was something absent last game. Josh was sitting on a bunch of Abrupt Decays, and Kyle was hammering in with permanents that cost 4 or more.
It'll be a little interesting to see how Josh wants to use Liliana. And I say that because I wasn't sure if he even wants to use it at all. It's likely that he does, but there are certainly situations where he doesn't. We'll discard Terminate now. A Mountain gets discarded by Kyle. So Kyle's hand right now, Snapcaster Mage and Kolaghan's Command. Ravitz to play Overgrown Tomb tapped. And now it's time for Tassiger. Kyle will sacrifice his Scalding Tarn. Let's see what land comes here.
And I don't mind Josh getting rid of the Terminate here. With Kolaghan's Command, he has an answer to Sower of Temptation if that comes off the top. And with the Liliana of the Veil in play and in hand, he can answer Tassiger or some other follow-up. So even though Terminate is very powerful here, probably the weakest of Josh's 3 cards, and I do think he wants to continue to plus Liliana.
If that's the weakest of your 3 cards, you're doing pretty good.
Yep.
So Boggemes with his Kolaghan's Command and Snapcaster Mage, time to take a draw step, see what he can find.
Remember, Josh knows about the Kolaghan's Command in hand, so there's a very good chance Kyle takes this opportunity to remove Liliana. Josh wants to keep the backup Liliana in hand, so he can start this all over again.
So Kyle may have picked up another copy of Snapcaster Mage. Land appears to be the bottleneck here for Boggemes. So now the question is, do I want to use Kolaghan's Command to take care of Liliana, and what second mode do I even want to choose? I can make you discard, I can get back in Snapcaster Mage, but I've got plenty of those.
I think making Josh discard against I suppose if he's assuming Liliana's removed in this scenario, maybe you make Josh discard. But against Tassiger, I don't think Kyle really wants to play the card advantage game. I think there's also an argument for him just going Snapcaster Mage into Serum Visions, because he needs just some raw resources to work with. He's being squeezed on a bunch of fronts here.
There's Kolaghan's Command. Get back Snapcaster Mage. We can't forget about the Dismember that's in the graveyard too.
Yep.
Verdant Catacombs the draw.
And I actually think if I'm Josh, I say, you know what, never mind with the cards that are in my hand right now. Fire up Raging Ravine.
Get some damage in.
Kyle's at 13. And if Kyle's plan here is to Snapcaster Mage back Dismember and try to play that kind of game, I want to hit as hard as possible and really punish Kyle for using Phyrexian mana.
Well, Ravitz did sacrifice Verdant Catacombs, searching up a forest. And it looks like he might be going towards Raging Ravine. He's going to decide exactly what land he wants. Maybe he wants another swamp. Maybe he just wants a non-basic because he's not fearing Blood Moon in this game now. Yep, he's going to fire up Ravine. He'll get a trigger and attack for 8. Boggemes down to 5.
At this point, Josh might just say, well, if Kyle untaps and casts Blood Moon, he's just dead. He has 3 mountains in play, and I'm attacking him down to 1.
Yeah.
So that's just not something Josh is going to play around here.
Boggemes will untap and draw. Picked up a copy of Watery Grave. Lands are certainly something Kyle is in the market for.
And that's why I really like the previous turn from Josh. Kyle has the tools to play a grindy card advantage game for a little while, even though he's behind on land drops. And the easiest way to punish him for trying to do that is shut the door as fast as possible.
Oof, gonna go down to 3. Still with the ability to cast Dismember and not die.
Yeah, it's a wash on the damage. He either takes 2 from the Water Grave or 2 from the Phyrexian mana. So might as well put it into play untapped.
That's how Ravitz wants to proceed here. Kyle with 3 Snapcaster Mages in hand. Will he have enough time to unload all of this stuff?
And Josh doesn't even need to fire up the Raging Ravine. If he thinks Kyle's answer here is Snapcaster Mage into a removal spell, he can force that play just with a Tassiger attack and then play something else after combat.
He's going to try to force that play right now. Dismember. Pay the Phyrexian mana. Kolaghan's command deal 2 damage to you, and that is going to do it. Josh Ravitz going to win game number 3 here over Kyle Boggemes. Jund is up 2-1 right now over Grixis Twin. And I imagine we're going to see Kyle's sideboard in the 15 cards yet again.
Yeah, he's way ahead of you, it looks like.
Not wasting any time. We'll start the guessing game. Let's see how much he wants to switch. Yep, there the 15 go yet again. So we'll see what he wants to do this go around. Didn't see Blood Moon or Splinter Twin that game. Didn't even see any of the Deceiver, Exarch, Pestermite nonsense. So who knows?
Yeah, that was, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean those cards have been removed from Kyle's deck altogether. He only looked at so many cards, but you know, again, if you're in Josh's position here, hard to know exactly what's going on the other side of the table.
Game number 4 will be underway here in just a moment. We'll talk about Star City Games Regionals. It'll be our summertime tournament. If you're not qualified for the Pro Tour, we got an awesome tournament for you to play in.
Yeah, we've already announced the venues too. You can see here on the map, and there should be a regional championship very close to you. A lot of cash prizes, open series points, and a good opportunity just to play in a fun, competitive tournament that weekend if you're not qualified for the Pro Tour. Get over to StarCityGames.com/regionals for more information. And again, our venues have already been announced. You can find the regional championship closest to you.
We can't forget about the awesome playmat that's involved with this as well. A play on the Ellen DeGeneres photo. We've taken all of our fun creatures from our creature collection series. This will be the playmat for our regional championship. StarCityGames.com/regionals on August 1st. Head to that website and that URL for more information. As we're going to get ready for game number 4 here between Boggemes and Ravitz. Boggemes will be pulling out 15 cards. And we'll see what he can find for game number 4. Ravitz has got to be feeling pretty good about how things are going right now.
Yeah, I think, you know, picking up game 1 is important for Josh because I think the post-board games do get worse for him. He was in a commanding position game 2. And Kyle had to draw very, very well over the course of a couple turns to take that one away from him. And he was kind of, it felt that game ahead from start to finish. It was never really a hammerlock again, because Kyle has a lot of cheat spells that allow him to come back in certain spots, as we saw in game number 2, but Josh had an end-to-end command of that game.
Jun just this normalized, not overpowered deck, but just gets the job done.
And a lot of the merits of the deck is you have game against everyone. You know, people can look at numbers like 3 Inquisition, 3 Thoughtseize, and ask, why not 4 and 2? One of these has got to be better than the other. And it's, well, no, I'm trying to get the right percentages in the right matchups. And so if I play too many Thoughtseizes, I lose percentage points against decks like Burn or other aggressive strategies. If I play too many Inquisitions, sometimes my matchups against, you know, Splinter Twin, Cryptic Command, some of those cards get a lot worse. Why 3 Terminate, 2 Abrupt Decay, 1 Maelstrom Pulse? It's much of the same story. You're just trying to have the right mixture of answer cards so your matchups across the board are palatable.
And that's really kind of the evolution in deck building that has taken place in Magic 2 over the years, where before it was just give me my 4 Smothers and leave me alone.
Right. Even as recently as, 5 years ago, you would look at 1 Maelstrom Pulse, 3 Terminate, 2 Abrupt Decay, 2 Kolaghan's Command, and go, what's this nonsense? Figure out the removal spells you want, and then play them. But sometimes you are just looking for the right mixture of stuff.
And I like it.
And that's something, it's definitely affected my deck building a lot more. I was always, 4 of, or 1 of if you're tutoring for it, or 0 of. 2s and 3s and deck lists always really bothered me. I mean, there's still more merit to building your decks that way when you're playing aggressive strategies, but for mid-range decks, also a lot of it is being able to sideboard the right way. Sometimes you have 5 cards in your sideboard, and so you're playing 5 for one matchup, and so you're playing 5 inefficient removal spells for that matchup, so your swapping is easier.
That's why I played a Tark Red in Portland. All 4s.
All 4s.
Make it a little bit easier on
1
me.
Become Immense.
Yep. Perfect. And the 1 Dastardly Forest.
Yeah. The cost of doing business, the 1 Basic Forest.
That's why I prefer that deck. But, when you're really in tune with Magic, you can find the perfect 2s and 3s in those numbers and get it right. And Josh Ravitz has certainly done that here. He's 1 game away from moving on to the semifinals. Playing against Amulet Boom. Looks to be against Chris Van Meter, as he's up 2-0 right now against Tarek Patel. But we have seen comebacks before.
Yep. And that mirror match is just nonsense anyway, so whatever.
Yeah, what's going on over there? Just, I'm doing my thing.
In the other quarterfinals, someone's got to win. Could be you.
Yeah. I'm doing my thing, you're doing your thing. Let's see if this is good.
Yep.
But we'll have Amulet Bloom on camera soon enough. Maybe we'll have time to jump that way. But at the very least, we know it'll be in the semifinals. It'll either be Chris or Tarek. Josh has already laid out his hand. I believe Kyle Mulligan, but I'm not 100% positive, so we'll get confirmation on that.
Kyle's been giving his deck a good wash so far. A lot of pile shuffling.
I see. Does not appear that he has Mulligan, so he'll lay out his opening hand. Yep, still on 7, so we're good. Both players take a look. Boggemes again will be on the play here for game number 4. He'll keep. We'll see if Ravitz will do the same. Josh with what maybe is a reluctant keep. Here's a discard spell. I've also played against Josh before where he sighed about having to keep and then his hand was the nuts. This is a pretty good one.
Yeah, this is not a hand I would really consider mulliganing. It's not ideal. Second Kolaghan's Command here, along with 2 lands, a little clunky. But definitely a keep.
Dark Confidant, Tarmogoyf, Terminate along with those cards. So a card Kyle wants to take with the Inquisition of Kozilek that he played off of his Bloody Grip. That's why he's at 17. Boggemes going to record the contents, as any good players should when they're casting a discard spell. Don't want to forget that information.
And this is sort of a similar version of the Snapcaster Mage dilemma of if you're if the game is going to go on for a long time, maybe you take Kolaghan's Command here, because even though there's 2 copies and Josh only has 2 lands, just because the game's going to go on for a long time and that card's eventually going to be powerful. The card in the abstract that stands out to me right now is the Terminate. It's Josh's cheapest and most reliable source of interaction.
Kyle right now does have a copy of Lightning Bolt in hand, so Dark Confidant is covered for the time being. Not to say Josh couldn't peel a discard spell, take that Lightning Bolt. But this is a tough hand to poke a hole into.
Yeah. A lot of creature removal, 2 threats, and some late game power in the Kolaghan's commands.
Gonna take the command. Pass the turn back over to Ravitz. Tarmogoyf the draw. Ravitz will start on Verdant Catacombs. Pass the turn back over to Boggemes. Boggemes will take a draw. It's an island and a Serum Visions. So we'll draw a card and scry 2. We'll see where those cards are headed. Does have another copy of Serum Visions in hand. Both those cards are going to stay on top emphatically. Ravit's going to sacrifice his Verdant Catacombs. Going to go down to 19. We'll see what land he wants to search up. Again, we have seen situations where Josh has just said, I'll get my non-basics, I don't care about Blood Moon. I don't know if we're there right now or not.
I feel like he needs to get a stomping ground here. He's only got the 2 lands. The other one's a swamp. And the color mana requirements on his hand right now are fairly strict. Terminate and Tarmogoyf.
There is the stomping ground. Ravitz currently in the lead, 19-17, but a lot of game left to be played here. We'll see what he wants to play on turn 2 as well. Kind of an interesting decision if he wants to go with Tarmogoyf or Dark Confidant here. I think it's easy to say Dark Confidant, but Tarmogoyf could be a good play.
I think with a mana up, I like playing Tarmogoyf here, because from a tempo perspective, if Kyle has Lightning Bolt, he gets to be ahead. Now Kyle has to respond to the Tarmogoyf on his own turn, which is much better from Josh's perspective.
Josh does go with the 3-4 Tarmogoyf before passing the turn back over to Boggemes. Boggemes will play a Polluted Delta. We'll see what else he's up to this turn. Snapcaster Mage in hand. Serum Visions 2. We'll start by cracking the Delta. See what land he wants to search up. He'll go with an island. Feels kind of like a Blood Moon.
Yeah, I think he might be Blood Mooning this turn.
I'm just going to go with the Snapcaster Mage and cast Inquisition of Kozilek. Wants to get a good look at Josh's hand. And then you'll see a Dark Confidant, Kolaghan's Command. Grim Lavamancer is an unknown piece, along with another Tarmogoyf, and that Terminate.
Yeah, the 1 Lavamancer came in and out of the board. Don't mind it. The cost to have 1 Lavamancer is low. So are Temptations in Kyle's deck. You can pair it with Lightning Bolt to get rid of Tassiger.
So the only bottleneck here for Josh is mana. He's got plenty of good cards. And again, Kyle has a copy of Lightning Bolt in hand for Dark Confidant, so that can be answered. And we saw him take Kolaghan's Command with the first Inquisition. I wouldn't be surprised to see him take it with the second.
Well, I think leaving 1 is kind of an incongruous play. You're either trying to play the game short and ignoring Kolaghan's Command, or trying to play it long and removing both. The problem is that Josh's hand right now plays well short or long, regardless of what card Kyle takes. In the short term, Josh has a lot of threats to add to the table. In the long term, he has things like Grim Lavamancer, Terminate, Kolaghan's Command to generate card advantage and break up the stuff going on Kyle's side of the table. So this is not a good hand for Kyle to see.
Yeah, this is you see Kyle kind of shaking his head. Taking a little bit longer with this Inquisition. It's a tough decision here on what card to take. This is another time where it's hard to poke a hole in this hand.
Yeah, it's not only hard to poke a hole in terms of, well, he gets to keep removal, he keeps to get a creature in that sense. It's also hard hand to poke a hole in strategically. Josh can play the game pretty fluidly, short or long, because he's got the tools to do both.
Wooded Foothills is the draw. Tarmogoyf's on its way over.
Wooded Foothills here is pretty sweet, as it allows Josh to go get a forest here if he wants it. He can play Grim Lavamancer and Tarmogoyf and be insulated from the Blood Moon. It looks like Kyle may be trying to set up here based on the way he's fetched.
Yeah, that island last turn that he fetched
Right,
up.
it's a bit suspicious. There's no guarantee that he has Blood Moon in hand. He may just be setting it up if he happens to draw it. But I like Josh using the Wooded Foothills here to go get a forest and protect himself. Because even if it isn't Kyle's deck, based on the way he fetches, it seems like, in his hand rather, it seems the way he fetches, it's probably in his deck somewhere.
There's Tarmogoyf, Grim Lavamancer. Pass the turn back. Ravitz is turning up the heat. Two big creatures out there. And Kyle's going to have to play catch-up. All the while knowing that there's a Terminate on the other side of the table. So playing catch-up through creatures, probably not going to work all that well.
And I feel like the die was kind of cast on Kyle's side of the table with the first Inquisition. There's a lot of ways he can play that hand. Once he takes the Kolaghan's command, he's sort of committed to taking the second one and trying to settle into a control game. Whether or not he can do that remains to be seen, but even if it looked a little bit weird for him to take Kolaghan's command with the second Inquisition, I feel like it was kind of forced based on the first Inquisition.
What's interesting, too, is that maybe part of the reason that we saw the flashback of the discard spell, maybe the big plan was to maybe try to clear the path for a Splinter Twin win.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll see what Boggemes is up to here. He's in some real trouble now.
He doesn't have the mana to cast Terminate. Lightning Bolt does not answer the Tarmogoyfs unless he's willing to block with the Snapcaster Mage, and that's a pretty big commitment of resources.
I'd be surprised if he even gets the opportunity with the Lavamancer out there,
yeah,
too.
Exactly. So, and Kyle is already at 13.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of time for him to work his way out of this.
Kyle resolving, a Serum Visions right now. Polluted Delta's the land.
And with the way that Grixis Twin is sideboard, and I've watched this a couple times over the course of the tournament, I really like it when Jund gets pretty aggressive post-board. You can never become a burn deck, obviously. You're still going to have your removal, and it's nice to have a little bit of removal and a little bit of discard. But when Twin's trying to set up for this longer game and get away from the combo, they are vulnerable to just a good curve of creatures backed up by one discard spell and one removal spell.
I don't want to get reactive against them.
No, you want to get your work done ahead of time, get a good clock in play, and prevent them from getting to a position where they can leverage their more expensive, more powerful cards.
Another land drawn here for Ravitz. He's still got a pretty nice board as he's going to analyze some things. Has to be a little wary when Kyle has 3 mana available about exactly where he wants to move.
Remember that Josh has to choose between activating Grim Lavamancer or being able to cast Terminate. He does not have double red.
Well, that land that he drew is going to help. It was a fetch land.
Okay.
So that's certainly available now. Picked up a copy of Verdant Catacombs for the draw step. You mentioned the cards in hand. Terminate and Dark Confidant. It's almost like Dark Confidant isn't there. It's not about that this game.
No.
But whenever you're playing against Twin, there's a lot to think about. That's why you see Josh's turn taking a little bit here.
Yeah.
Got to tread pretty lightly.
3 mana can mean a lot of different things.
Here comes the attack. There's a block.
And this may be Josh saying, listen, if you want to trade Bolt as Snapcaster Mage for a Tarmogoyf, that's fine. Still got a Tarmogoyf in play. Actually, it makes my Tarmogoyf larger because currently there's no creatures in the graveyard. Still get the ability to use my Grim Lavamancer.
Looks like that's what's going to take place. Looks like maybe Dark Confidant's on the way, too. And it is. Next up, you imagine, is the Verdant Catacombs.
Yeah, gotta leave your the ability to cast Terminate here. You could just die if you don't have it, so
yeah.
Get all the land back.
You see what Boggemes is staring down now. Tarmogoyf. Let's make it 2 of them, along with a Grim Lavamancer, Dark Confidant, and Terminate in hand. Kyle going to sacrifice his Polluted Delta. Keep in mind, one of those Tarmogoyfs does have 2 points of damage on it, but its toughness grew.
Yep.
So if something like target your Tarmogoyf with Kolaghan's command that has 2 damage on it, it's not going to kill it.
Lightning Bolt's still good, but Kolaghan's command is not.
There is only 1 creature in the graveyard. It's a Snapcaster Mage. So if he Kolaghan commands, deals 2 to the Tarmogoyf and picks up the Snapcaster Mage,
okay,
he'll
sure.
turn it back to a 3/4. So that will kill it. So maybe that's Kyle's plan here.
But that's another exchange that, you know, Josh is not that upset with.
It's going to be a Deceiver Exarch.
And Kyle's got Twin in hand, and things have gotten bleak enough where I'm sure he's just looking to go for the kill. Josh is going to be forced to pull the trigger on Terminate right now.
I'm going to see it. Deceiver Exarch looks like he's going to target Blood Crypt. There's the Terminate right now. Josh is going to have to do some sacrificing, all that good stuff. So we're going to see that Lightning Bolt here, I think, in a second. Yep, it's going to finish off the Tarmogoyf. And I actually kind of like that play by Kyle because it forces Josh's hand right now to use the Terminate.
Yeah. You don't want to lose the Twin in response.
Yeah. So Josh is empty-handed. What he's got is on the table. No Lavamancer activation, given that he's tapped out. 2/1 Dark Confidant, of course, and then the 4/5 Tarmogoyf. Kyle's the one that's got to play catch-up, and we'll see if he has the tools to do so. Not a lot of life to work with, given that he's at 9.
There's still some potentially big draws hanging out here. Sower of Temptation is not bad in this scenario. Likely to take the Grim Lavamancer.
Yep. And then that could finish off the Dark Confidant, depending on how things go.
Yep.
So things do get interesting.
Kolaghan's command buys him a lot of time, potentially. Removes the creature, allows him to get back, you know, Snapcaster Mage, which then can get back another removal spell, and so on and so forth.
Maybe get back to Deceiver Exarch.
If he's got Twin in hand and he feels like he can go for it.
And that gets interesting, too. Kolaghan's command taking down Dark Confidant, get back my Deceiver Exarch. It's a Scalding Tarn as the land. There's a lot to think about right now if you're Kyle. This is not easy.
Kolaghan's command getting back a Snapcaster Mage has a lot of permutations over what you can do for your next 2 turns. This is not a simple decision because there's actually numerous decisions going on all at the same time.
He does have a copy of Kolaghan's command in hand. Scalding Tarn also makes things interesting too because, well, that's at least 1 life.
Yeah, and Kyle doesn't have a lot to play with right now.
The other card in hand, actually, I think, is Sower of Temptation. I think the hand right now is Sower of Temptation and Kolaghan's command. Boy, that is tough. That is really hard. There's Sower. Take the Lavamancer.
It just has to take Grim Lavamancer with it.
Pass the turn back. Hopefully nothing too bad happens from Dark Confidant. Josh going to get 2 shots at it. Number 1 is a Tarmogoyf. That's pretty good.
Yeah, another big hitter.
But it could be way worse. Maelstrom Pulse is much worse for Kyle.
Yeah, he needed to be at least able to chump block with the Grim Lavamancer, if not untap and activate it. And this is going to be really hard to beat.
Yep. Because now Ravitz gets to come across here for 6 points of damage. Boggemes is going to go down to 3. Now he's going to go down to 2. He's going to need something really good. As our backup feature match, well, we're not going to have time to jump over there because it is over. Chris Vadmeter wins his match over Tariq Patel, 3-0. The Amulet Blue Mirror goes to Chris. He's on to the semifinals. He's going to play the winner of this match. And that means he might be playing against Jund, my friend, as Josh Ravitz is 1 turn away. Boggemes will draw a card. Remember, he's got Kolaghan's command in hand.
And everything's got to die on Josh's side of the table. Every single thing he has is lethal.
The only thing going for Kyle right now is that Grim Lavamancer is summoning sick.
Yeah. He has to kill Grim Lavamancer and then block or kill the 2 other things. With 2 cards in hand, that's asking a lot.
It's a really tough spot here. I don't know if there's a way through it. He really, really needed to fade a removal spell last turn, but Dark Confidant helped out.
It appears as though he's drawn another Sower.
That gives him a shot.
Yep. I mean, this is another. He gets a chump block at least.
Yep. Reveal. Blackcliff Cleaves. Blackcliff Cleaves is the draw. He needed to fade removal last time. He didn't. He did this time. Here's the attack. Okay, Dark Confidant. Excuse me. Grim Lavamancer will block, of course. Here's another Tarmogoyf. Pass the turn back. Kyle is still alive. Sulfur Falls the draw. Josh unable to find removal that turn. Another Sower in the graveyard. Sower's been very impressive.
It's been great for Kyle. I don't think it's going to be quite enough, but it was definitely impressive when we had him on camera during the Swiss rounds, and it feels like it's been his most potent post-board card.
Just can he find a way to beat these Tarmogoyfs? They're so big.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a Terminate hanging out down there. Kolaghan's command's not really up to the challenge.
So what gets interesting now is I think we're going to see a command. 2 damage to Dark Confidant, return Snapcaster Mage. He's got a Sulfur Falls to play, so now he plays Snap. And he's going to go the Serum Visions route. So he'll draw. Now 2 cards going to go Scrying. We'll see where they're going to go. They're going to go to the bottom.
He can still try to set up, you know, Cryptic into an Exarch into a Twin next turn if he's allowed to chump block.
He gets to block them both. Fire off a Thoughtseize. Inquisition to Kozilek. Pass that turn back. Take a draw. He'll pass. Ravitz will draw. Time to attack. It's a Deceiver Exarch. That'll keep him alive another turn. How's Kyle do this time? He'll pass it again. He's barely hanging on. Terminate. Exarch, kill your creature and kill you. Josh Ravitz gonna win this match here over Kyle Boggemes. 3-1. Jund move on through Grixis Twin. For Ravitz, this is a match he felt he could win, and he did. Things are gonna get really hard for him now because he's gonna be playing against Chris Van Meter in the semifinals.
Yeah, congratulations and condolences to both players. Kyle for a very good run here, losing in the top 8, and Josh here advancing to the top 4, but perhaps the worst matchup in the room for him waits. Chris Van Meter playing Amulet Blue.
It's